want a war? You're gonna get one.
Now get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the saints, and across the nation. And it's a sex, the gods, the fakes, the fraud, they're messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Welcome back to Reliving the War and welcome to the 5th of August 1996. WCW Nitro is live tonight from Disney's MGM Studios in Orlando, while the World Wrestling Federation continued to show taped matches from the Key Arena in Seattle. Let's take a look at the first 60 minutes of Monday Nitro before comparing each segment of each show. Schiavone and Zbyszko give us a recap of last week's events and the attack of the Outsiders. There's 4 empty ringside seats and it's speculated that the empty seats are for Hall, Nash, Hogan and the mystery 4th NWO member. WCW superstars are providing their own security tonight, and who better to provide security than Ming, the toughest and most manliest man to ever walk on God's green earth. If Ming joined WCW security, the NWO stuff would have never happened at all. There'd be no wars on both TV and on a global scale, and world peace would have been achieved by the end of 1996. Scott Norton, the Barbarian, and Big Bubba also stand around the ring to ensure tonight's Nitro goes on without a hitch. Harlem Heat defeated the Rock and Roll Express in our opening match, and it was more nonsense between Robert Parker and Sherry that got Booker and Stevie the win. I love Harlem Heat and I love their matches, but I'm also glad I haven't had to talk about this storyline in depth here on Reliving the War. Mean Gene interviews the Nasty Boys next. Nobs and Sags say that they're getting a lot of heat from the boys due to their past friendship with Hulk Hogan. Sting and Luger appear, the Nasty Boys' opponents in tonight's main event, and the babyfaces want to know whose side are the Nasty Boys on. Are they on WCW's side or are they part of the NWO? The Nasty Boys tell Sting and Luger that it's none of their business. And then, yeah, I've had a week to think about it. I'm not going to get angry. My doctor says it's not good for my health, and my therapist said I shouldn't let Glacier play me like a fool. Something that you can play like a fool though is the Glacier songs from last week. Yeah, I got a lot of messages about how gloriously stupid last week's songs were, and rather than hold on to my pain in the form of these recordings, I've decided to release them into the wild. On the 19th of March, this Friday, the 2 versions of the Glacier song will be available on streaming platforms such as Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, YouTube Music, all that stuff. Not really the first song I ever envisioned releasing to the public, but still, stream it, send it to your friends for the ultimate embarrassment, and in no time at all, Glacier will top the Billboard charts, and he'll have to show up for live performances as a backup dancer. Follow me on Twitter for the direct links as soon as they become available, and I'm really sorry for this. Medusa had another match with Malaya Hisaka next, but Hisaka got the victory this time thanks to Sonny Ono. A limousine showed up during the match that we assume had the NWO inside. Alex Wright and Chris Benoit had a match next, and it was going really well until Jimmy Hart approached Woman. Hart told Woman that she needs to join the Dungeon of Doom, and Kevin Sullivan is upset that she isn't standing by his side. Dean Malenko then appears and he tries to take Woman away, and this leads to Benoit getting himself counted out as he defends Woman. Every match so far has had some sort of interference. Steve Regal versus Randy Savage followed, and fortunately we got a decisive winner here. It was a great match between these two, so good that Sting and Luger came out to watch the bout from those empty ringside seats. Savage hits the elbow drop for the victory. Sting and Luger then approached the NWO limousine where they found a wreath. The flowers had a message that read, "Condolences on the death of WCW." It's also announced that Randy Savage will get a shot at the WCW Champion after Hog Wild, but in order to get this title shot, the Macho Man cannot show up at Sturgis for the pay-per-view. too many weak finishes here, unfortunately. The Savage vs Regal match was good, and the whole wreath on the limo thing was pretty well done too, but the unopposed hour point goes to Raw this week. I definitely would have switched over here to see what the WWF was up to. WCW begins hour 2 with the Nature Boy Ric Flair taking on the Booty Man. Jeez, I thought we got rid of this guy. And over on Raw we have Jerry the King Lawler doing battle with Aldo Montoya. Aldo Montoya has been hanging out with Jake Roberts recently, and this means Aldo is now Jerry Lawler's enemy. The King kicks things off with a few jokes while we see footage of Montoya beating Lawler with Jake's signature DDT a week ago on WWF Superstars. Before the match begins, Lawler shows everyone Jake's tag team partner, a bottle of Jim Beam, and the King says he's going to provide commentary as he wrestles this opening match with Montoya. The King gives Montoya a chance to speak, but he throws the mic down. Aldo goes to pick it up and the King attacks Aldo. Jerry hits a suplex in the middle of the ring, but Aldo fires back with a big uppercut. Montoya then launches the King into the corner and a dropkick gets delivered. Aldo goes upstairs and Lawler takes a diving punch. Montoya then signals for the DDT, but the King manages to get out of harm's way. The King gets absolutely nothing in here as Aldo hits a back body drop followed by 10 punches in the corner. And then, just like that, Lawler stops in his tracks after getting launched into the ropes and he hits his signature piledriver. Piledriver 2 gets delivered as Vince McMahon talks about tonight's main event battle royal. The King wins via pinfall, and yeah, this was pretty awful. After the bout, the King grabs the bottle of Jim Beam and he gives Aldo a drink. Aldo sells it like it's some sort of instant death-inducing poison, but hey, free drink courtesy of the King. No better way to get over a humiliating defeat than to have a nice shot of whiskey. Speaking of humiliating, we have the Booty Man taking on Ric Flair next on Nitro, and Eric Bischoff is missing in action. There's no sign of Eazy-E, so Zbyszko and Schiavone are gonna stay on commentary. It's been a while since we've seen Asshole Man here on Reliving the War, and maybe he learned a new move while sitting on the bench. It's Kimberly Page who I feel sorry for, having to pretend like she's having a great time when really she wants to run away as far and as fast as possible from this absolute cokehead. Ric Flair's robe game is completely on point tonight though. Slick Rick is all business it seems, and even Arn Anderson comes down to ringside to keep an eye on the action. The commentators mentioned that the Booty Man is a friend of Hulk Hogan, like geez you don't say, and the commentators also wonder how the Booty Man feels about Hogan betraying WCW. Nobody cares. Ric Flair beats the living shit out of Mr. Man to kick things off. The fight spills to the outside where Flair delivers even more punishment, and a snapmare takeover gets delivered in the ring followed by more punches to the head. I'm enjoying this match already. Steve McMichael and Chris Benoit are seen hugging a tree at the entranceway. Something's gonna go down here and I'll admit I'm getting a little excited. Flair is screaming Hogan's name as he continues to punish the Booty Man. The most blatant low blow in wrestling history gets delivered as the Booty Man just stares at the Nature Boy before getting his balls crushed. The referee couldn't care less either. He's actually like, yeah, fucking nice shot, Rick. Ming looks out for criminals in the audience as the match continues on. The Booty Man finally begins fighting back, but thankfully we don't have to see it. The cameras go over to Bobby the Brain Heenan, who complains to Schiavone and Zbyszko about last week's attack. Heenan also says that he can't find Eric Bischoff backstage, and he has no idea what he's supposed to do as Flair and Asshole Man trade blows in the corner. Booty Man misses the high knee, and this allows Flair to briefly attack the leg. The Nature Boy applies the figure 4, and just after the Booty Man submits, The Horsemen run into the ring and the Booty Man takes an absolute kicking, and I mean it's an absolute kicking. The Horsemen think that Ed Leslie could be the 4th NWO member. I mean, you wouldn't put it past Leslie to ride more coattails, and so the Horsemen are using their powers of predictability to beat the shit out of the Booty Man, and it's absolutely glorious. Ming lets it slide. He's like, yeah, hit him in the nose for me. And Scott Norton too is happy to let Brother Brudai get his legs broke as the beating continues. As Flair works over the Booty Man, Arn Anderson cuts a great promo where he talks about the Horsemen being the original gang of WCW. The NWO didn't finish the job last week, and now the Outsiders and Hulk Hogan have a big problem because the Enforcer was sent to the hospital, but the Booty Man is going to get sent to the morgue. Benoit and Mongo also have a few words for the Outsiders. Mongo says Hall and Nash need to grow eyes on the back of their heads, and then Ric Flair gets a little mic time. The Nature Boy finds it funny that Hogan wants to be a bad guy now, and because the NWO decided to hurt Flair's best friend, the Horsemen have simply returned the favour by destroying the Booty Man. If Hogan wants to help his friend, he needs to come out of the ring. Unfortunately, we don't see Hogan as Nitro moves on to its next segment, but it's a point for WCW. Let it be known that Ed Leslie won a point on Reliving the War, but only because he nearly lost both of his legs thanks to the Four Horsemen. The New World Order have paid for an announcement next on Nitro while the WWF presents the New Rockers versus the Body Donnas. At least it isn't the Godwins. And I spoke too soon. Hillbilly Jim's providing commentary, so the Godwins will pop up at some point. Fantastic. The new and improved Rockers launch a sneak attack by waiting at the entranceway and in the ring. Wait a minute. Whoa, hang on. Glacier was on Raw this whole time? That sneaky bastard. He's gonna hit the ring during this match and say, you want a war? You're gonna get one. The Rockers double team Zip successfully, but their second attempt isn't so successful. A pin attempt gets broken up and all four men begin fighting in the ring. We end up with Zip and Marty Jannetty inside the ropes, and Leif Cassidy helps his partner avoid a dropkick attempt, and just as Skip gets tagged in, we get a split screen interview with Sonny and Farouk. Farouk is going to make his WWF in-ring debut next week in a match against Skip. Farouk talks about how the Tagger is the real king of the jungle, and how Farouk himself is just like a Tagger, and I don't know, it's all a load of bollocks really, isn't it? And once again, Farouk won't tell us why he's dressed like a futuristic Mega Man Roman gladiator. If you're gonna wear something crazy like that, then you gotta explain it. You just can't show up to TV without giving some sort of explanation. The Body Donnas are now in control. Cassidy takes a few hard knife-edge chops, but Jannetty gets tagged back in behind Zip's back. They do this little spot where Jannetty still misses a clothesline, and yeah, it isn't great, is it? Skip comes back into the match and he takes control of the wrist. Jannetty gets launched to the corner, but he fires back with an elbow followed by a reverse diving neckbreaker. We go to the backstage area and there they are, the Godwins. They're back there goofing around while the Smoking Guns are taking this match very seriously. Skip hits a clothesline and he follows up with a diving headbutt from the top rope. Cassidy breaks up the pin attempt and Skip nearly lands on his neck while trying to go over Jannetty. This reminds me of when Zip done the exact same thing in a match with Ahmed Johnson back in May. Skip takes a double stun gun before getting dumped out of the ring and Leif hits a swinging neckbreaker. Skip then gets a foot on the ropes when Marty tries to end the match, and the New Rockers pull off some more double team offense. Skip needs to tag out as we go to split screen again. Gorilla Monsoon is allowing the reinstatement of Clarence Mason's client. However, this guy is going to be under close scrutiny, whoever it is. He's making his debut next week. Skip takes a spine buster after trying to make a tag. We go to commercial break and all four men are in the ring. When we come back, we don't even see the hot tag. Skip hits a top rope Frankensteiner and Zip goes upstairs. But the Smoking Guns come out to attack the Body Donnas. The match ends with a DQ. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we fucking go. The Godwins run in to save the day as the segment comes to an end.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
The NWO have paid for an announcement again this week, but before we get to that, we see a replay of last week's attack, and man, they near enough show the whole thing here. It goes on for nearly 7 minutes or so, right from Jimmy Hart having a fit to the WCW guys getting put in the ambulance. It was an iconic segment for sure, but we really don't need to see it all again just 1 week later. So you'd like to think that a lot of people switched over to Raw here to see what was actually a pretty decent tag team match. The NWO's promo is all about the Giant, Sting and Luger. The Outsiders are going to take on Sting and Luger at Hog Wild while Hogan has the Giant. It's more of the same really. The NWO make fun of their opponents while announcing that WCW is going to get taken over. And again, to be fair, there's something about this heel Hulk Hogan that just draws you in. It's just really fascinating seeing Hulk portray the bad guy after all these years. The promo video freezes, and Tony Schiavone gets word that Sting and Luger are the ones who ordered the tape to get stopped. We go back to the control room, and Sting is giving one of the producers a hard time. The guy says the NWO paid for the video, and Sting really couldn't care less. The thing is, almost the entire video already made it to TV, so it's a little bit pointless. Also, it just felt way more cool when the Outsiders invaded the production truck. Sting ends the promo by saying there's free pot pie and Mountain Dew in his trailer, and I'm not making that up either.
There's free pot pie and Mountain Dew in our trailer. Let's go.
Oh, we're in Atlanta.
It's a point for WWF Raw, and really, it was the long replay of last week's attack that lost Nitro the point. Sergeant Craig Pittman, who surprised us last time he was on Reliving the War, he's going to step into the ring with the Giant next while the WWF presents a Shawn Michaels interview. Kevin Kelly wants to know if Shawn's world has begun crumbling around him ever since International Incident, and Shawn pretty much tells Kelly to stop being so dramatic. HBK says he's certainly facing a big challenge in the man they call Vader, but Shawn also says he works best when under pressure. HBK says he's just like any other guy. He never said he was invincible, and Shawn Michaels can get beat just like everyone else. Wow, Shawn is such a humble guy. Kelly asks Shawn if SummerSlam will be the night when the boy who dreamed turns into a nightmare. Shawn says he has a tough fight on his hands, but so far, no superstar has been able to defeat him when the WWF title has been on the line. Kelly then wants Shawn's thoughts on the WrestleMania 12 title win. Kevin says many people feel that HBK's title victory was tainted due to the sudden death over time. HBK says that he wants to see Bret Hart back in the World Wrestling Federation just like everyone else. Shawn then says that no matter how he won the match at WrestleMania, he was always going to get criticised, so the ending of the match and how he won the title doesn't really mean much to the Heartbreak Kid. Kelly reminds Shawn that the winner of the SummerSlam match will have to face the winner of tonight's Battle Royal. HBK says this whole situation shows why he's the only guy who can be the WWF Champion right now. Nobody else in the world could take on the same schedule as Shawn Michaels. All in all, it wasn't a bad interview, but we didn't learn much either. The stuff with Bret Hart was pretty interesting, but the rest was all fluff. Can Sergeant Craig Pittman suplex the Giant the same way he suplexed Chris Benoit a few weeks ago? Nah, of course not. The Giant sticks his ass into Craig's midsection, and the Sergeant takes a kicking on the mat. The WCW Champion stands on his opponent and Craig gets choked in the corner. The Giant sends Pittman to the opposite turnbuckles and Craig manages to move out of the way when Paul White goes for his ass attack again. I don't know. And then Pittman does these little jumping headbutts, and I don't know why, but these just look really funny to me. Headbutt number 3 fails to connect and the Giant hits a choke slam. 1, 2, 3, the match is already over. Teddy Long tries to stop the Giant from performing another chokeslam, so poor Teddy takes the bump instead. Absolutely atrocious stuff from WCW Nitro, and it's another point for the WWF. Jimmy Hart and the Giant get interviewed next, and the limousine is seen returning to the MGM studios. As Giant begins talking about how he's going to destroy Hogan at Hog Wild, the fans can actually be heard chanting Hogan's name. The Giant spits on Mean Gene too, and Okerlund doesn't look too happy about it. The promo has nothing of substance, and we see the limousine once again before going to commercial break. WCW Nitro ends this week with a match pitting the Nasty Boys against Sting and Lex Luger, while the WWF gives us a battle royal, the winner of which will get a title shot the night after SummerSlam. Going to be a bit tricky trying to talk about this whole battle royal, but here we go, I'll do my best. Right, let's see who we've got here. We've got Mankind, Goldust, Ahmed Johnson, Sycho Sid, Steve Austin, Owen Hart, Davey Boy Smith, Bradshaw, Mark Merrow, The Undertaker, and Savio Vega. Undertaker goes straight after Mankind, and both men get eliminated right away. So there's two of the biggest stars of the match already gone. Taker and Foley fight all the way to the back as the match continues. The next man to get eliminated is the British Bulldog when Ahmed Johnson dumps Davey out of the ring. So we don't get to see the
Davey Boy Smith chinlock
this week. Extremely basic stuff here. Babyfaces are going after heels and vice versa. There's really no interesting fights happening in the ring, but all eyes are on Sycho Sid. Sid seems to be the favourite after The Undertaker got himself eliminated. The next eliminated wrestler is Justin Hawk Bradshaw when Sid backdrops him out of the ring, and we're now down to 7 men. Steve Austin begins working over Sycho Sid while Mark Merrow battles Owen Hart. Ahmed Johnson is just walking around looking for something to do. Mark Merrow thinks he has Owen eliminated, but Owen skins the cat. This results in Merrow coming back and Owen getting sent over the top rope. The King of Hearts complains as Raw goes to commercial break, and when we come back, McMahon lets us know that we've had no further eliminations. Goldust then manages to eliminate the Wildman Mark Merrow, see you later Merrow, and then silly shit Savio Vega eliminates himself by performing his cartwheel kick to Goldust. Must have had a little brain fart here. It's okay Savio, happens to all of us. The Undertaker and Mankind show up again. They've been fighting all around the arena and it looks like The Undertaker is getting the upper hand. The two fight in the ring before leaving again through the audience, and now we're down to the final 4. Steve Austin, Sycho Sid, Goldust and Ahmed Johnson. Johnson hits a big clothesline on Goldust before he tries to help Sid eliminate Austin. Austin hits Ahmed with a low blow as payback. A lot of time then is given to these 4 guys. Ahmed focuses on Goldust while Austin goes after Sid. Ahmed hits a big spinebuster on Goldust that gets the crowd pumped up, but Goldust manages to avoid a Pearl River plunge. We come back from commercial break and Sid hits the powerbomb on Goldust. Steve Austin also takes a powerbomb from the big man, and Sid is looking really good here. We then see The Undertaker and Mankind beating the hell out of each other backstage. This boiler room brawl coming up at SummerSlam is gonna be good. We go back to the ring and it's announced that Shawn Michaels will wrestle Owen Hart next week on Raw. Can't complain about that. And then the King of Hearts and Davey Boy Smith show up to distract Sycho Sid. This results in Steve Austin eliminating Sid, and so we're down to 3. Goldust wants to make a pact with Austin, and so the heels begin attacking Ahmed Johnson. This results in Goldust double-crossing the Rattlesnake, but Austin again gets payback with a low blow. Ahmed Johnson ends up getting involved, and Austin gets dumped out of the ring by Johnson and Goldust. The match eventually ends with Ahmed kinda pushing Goldust out of the ring, and Johnson gets tied up in the ropes too. It's hilarious how Ahmed hangs on, and I'm not so sure if this was planned to end like this, but yeah, Ahmed gets a title shot the night after SummerSlam. Vince McMahon interviews Ahmed afterwards, and Ahmed says he's happy and sad. He's happy that he won the match, but he's sad that he may have to go one-on-one with his best friend Shawn Michaels. Farouk shows up to interrupt the promo. The 2 men start brawling with each other, and this is how Raw ends this week. The Battle Royal wasn't great, but it was something different at least. Having the current IC champ win the whole thing was a little questionable though. The Nasty Boys versus Sting and Luger on Nitro then. Before the match begins, Glacier does his cunt foo in front of his ice palace, again just to rub salt in the wounds. He may have let us down, but remember to stream his song on the 19th of March. Share it with your mates, let your granny hear it. Glacier for Billboard #1. Make it happen, people. Sting and Luger are completely jacked up on pot pies and Mountain Dew, so the Nasty Boys better watch out. The Steiners show up to provide additional security, but come on guys, fucking Ming is out there, no additional men are needed. Jerry Saggs starts things off by attacking Luger. Luger's comeback gets stopped with a big boot, and the Nasty Boys double team the total package. Knobs and Luger in the ring now, and Luger manages to take care of both Nasty Boys before Sting gets tagged in. A jumping clothesline gets followed up with a face crusher, but Jerry Saggs breaks up the pin attempt. Saggs trips up the Stinger, and this allows the Nasty Boys to go on offense. Saggs gets tagged in and he hits a big clothesline in the corner. Knobs comes back into the match and Sting takes more punishment in the corner, and then we get to see more teamwork from Saggs and Knobs when Jerry again comes back into the match. More quick tags keeps the pressure on the babyfaces. Sting finds himself in a camel clutch as Luger begs to get tagged in. And eventually, Sting creates an opportunity when he gets his feet up during a top rope attack from Knobs. Luger tags in, he cleans house with some clotheslines and a power slam, but when he tries to go for the torture rack, Brian Knobs breaks it up. This results in Sting coming in without a tag, and the four men begin brawling. Legal men Jerry Saggs and Lex Luger fight on the outside, and Rick Steiner hits a Steiner line on Saggs after the Nasty Boy accidentally hit the dog-faced gremlin. Saggs gets rolled into the ring, a legal man Sting applies the Scorpion Deathlock, and the referee calls for the bell. Sting and Luger win via submission. Typical WCW officiating here, but what can you do? Mean Gene interviews the winners afterwards. Mean Gene reminds Sting and Luger that the limousine is still sitting at the entranceway, and the babyfaces decide to go down to the limousine to see who's inside. When they open the door, someone throws a bag out before the limo drives off, and Nitro goes off the air with a cliffhanger. What was in the Turner bag and who was in the limousine? Well, thanks to the WWE Network, we have unreleased footage of what happened when Nitro went off the air. Sting opens the bag and there's a note inside from the New World Order. It reads, "Ray was right, there are 4 guys, or are there 5? See ya in Sturgis." The final point goes to WWF Raw. The tag team match was seriously by the numbers, whereas the Battle Royal was something different. The little note from the NWO was cool, but remember, this didn't air on TNT. Raw won this week, and it was really all down to WCW giving us a really safe show. There wasn't much happening at all on Nitro, and the only real highlights were Savage vs Regal and the Booty Man getting his ass kicked, though your mileage may vary on that particular match. The Raw Battle Royal may not have been great, but again, something different, and the Body Donnas tag team match was surprisingly entertaining. With Raw winning this week's Reliving the War, our overall scores are now 15 points to Raw, 23 points to Nitro, and we've had 6 ties. In the television ratings, Nitro won with a 3.0 over Raw's 2.8, an extremely narrow victory this week for WCW. Next week, WCW moves away from Disney's MGM Studios and we're in Casper, Wyoming. The Outsiders will also main event Nitro next week, and we'll also have the Hog Wild results. Over on the WWF side, we'll see Farouk compete in his very first Monday Night Raw match, and we'll also see Shawn Michaels versus Owen Hart in the main event. I hope you join me next week. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.